Language is an extremely important way of interacting with the people around us. We use language to let others know how we feel, what we need, and to ask questions. We can modify our language to each situation. For example, we talk to our small children with different words and tone than we conduct a business meeting. To communicate effectively, we send a message with words, gestures, or actions which somebody else receives. Communication is therefore a two-way street, with the recipient of the message playing as important a role as the sender. Therefore, both speaking and listening are important for communication to take place. Throughout history, many have reflected on the importance of language. For instance, the scholar Benjamin Whorf has noticed that language shapes thoughts and emotions, determining one's perception of reality. John Stuart Mill said that language is the light of the mind. Lionel Gruel, a Québécois historian, put it this way: Chacun retient toutefois la suprême révélation du génie national, la clé magique qui donne accès aux plus hautes richesses de la culture, c'est la langue. Each holds, however, that the supreme revelation of national genius, the magical key that gives access to the highest wealth of culture, is language. For the linguist Edward Sapir, language is not only a vehicle for the expression of thoughts, perceptions, sentiments, and values characteristic of a community, it also represents a fundamental expression of social identity. Sapir said, "The mere fact of a common speech serves as a peculiar potent symbol for the social solidarity of those who speak the language." In short, language retention helps maintain feelings of cultural kinship. Language, of course, is knowledge, and in our world today, knowledge is one of the key factors in competitiveness. Brains and knowledge are what create the prosperity and growth we tend to take for granted. In an advanced industrial society and an increasingly interdependent world, the knowledge of other languages becomes indispensable. Just think of how the advent of the internet has changed our lives. For the last few years, millions of people across the world who share common interests are able to communicate with each other and exchange ideas. Not only are they able to do this due to the various technological advances, but also because they share a common language. There is, of course, no denying that the knowledge of the English language is one of the most important tools available to our children. It is one of the international languages, a tool of communication between countries, cultural groups, various companies and organizations, communities, and friends. The definition of literacy has evolved in the 21st century. The basic definition of literacy means to be able to read and write. To be successful in today's digital world, literacy goes far beyond being able to read and write. What it means to be digitally literate has reflected the change in how information is processed, delivered, and received in today's highly connected world. The University Library of the University of Illinois defines digital literacy as the ability to use digital technology, communication tools, or networks to locate, evaluate, use, and create information. The ability to understand and use information in multiple formats from a wide range of sources when it is presented via computers. A person's ability to perform tasks effectively in a digital environment. Literacy includes the ability to read and interpret media, to reproduce data and images through digital manipulation, and to evaluate and apply new knowledge gained from digital environments. Digital literacy includes learning how to use technology's tools. The list of digital tools is never ending. New releases make something that was new yesterday old today. Educators as well as students must thoughtfully determine which tools are essential to their digital literacy toolkit. Toolkits vary from one educator to another as they do from one student to another. Once you have mastered a particular tool, move on to another so you can increase your digital power. Students are wired to learn digitally. They come with handhelds practically attached to their limbs. Our obligation is to teach them to become responsible digital citizens as well as discerning users of everything the internet has to offer in our globally collaborative world. Pamela Ann Kirst states in a November 2013 Zanesville Times Recorder article, "Accessing information takes a nanosecond. The assimilation of that information, the interpretation and application of it, are the skills we need today. Anyone with internet skills can find the data. It's the finder who can tell us why it's important that gets recognized." Digital literacy is less about tools and more about thinking. When we talk about language literacy, we are discussing much more than the basic ability to recognize words on a page. True literacy extends beyond the ability to read and encompasses the skills needed to gain meaning and knowledge from the written word, to think critically, and to write clearly. Likewise, digital literacy is more than simply knowing how to use digital tools. It is the ability to locate, organize, understand, evaluate, and analyze information using digital technology. It's also about knowing what to share and who to share it with. In other words, it's less about tools and more about thinking. This quote from the New Media Consortium 2012 Horizon Report on K-12 education exemplifies the importance of not only teaching kids how to use technology, but how to think and evaluate. Skills based on using digital tools are important, but they are also short-lived since the tools and platforms available to us change so quickly. As soon as we master one social network or online tool, a new one emerges. Anyone who's seen a baby use an iPad like a pro can attest to the fact that kids figure out how to use a new technology amazingly fast, but they still need to be taught other important skills surrounding how to use that technology effectively. All of this leads us to the father of communication theory, Marshall McLuhan. In McLuhan's famous "The Medium is the Message," he discusses his idea that it's not necessarily the content of the message, but the way in which we communicate it that says the most and conveys the most information. In this sense, we can look at the growing concerns of digital literacy through McLuhan's lens. The importance of an acquaintance with modern language has always been key to communication, and now that we've moved on to a largely digitized mode of communication, we must remain literate. The medium of the internet, for communication and knowledge acquisition, maintains the same messages of literacy that written texts have for centuries. In a culture like ours, long accustomed to splitting and dividing all things as a means of control, it is sometimes a bit of a shock to be reminded that, in operational and practical fact, the medium is the message. This is merely to say that the personal and social consequences of any medium, that is, of any extension of ourselves, results from the new scale that is introduced into our affairs by each extension of ourselves or by any new technology. Many people would be disposed to say that it was not the machine, but what one did with the machine that was its meaning or message. In terms of the ways in which the machine altered our relations to one another and to ourselves, it mattered not in the least whether it turned out cornflakes or Cadillacs.